Welcome back to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Christie, and today we're going to dive deep into the powerful world of hormones, specifically how you can maximize your growth hormone, testosterone, and protein synthesis for optimal muscle building, fat loss, overall health. These key hormones not only shape your physique, but they also impact your energy, mood, and longevity. And that is my commitment to bring you guys the why behind what we're doing. At Beauty Culture and Cultured Wellness, which are my two medical aesthetic and functional wellness businesses and medical practices, I like to provide education so that someone who's like, is that right for me? Has this little free snippet of the down and dirty of what these hormones are doing, what not having them in your body any longer from the aging process or from different biological processes, what that does in the long term. I'm really passionate about people not just living longer, but living stronger. And we talk a lot about the ramifications of overall not having these hormones in our body circulating any longer and what that looks like and the lifelong implications and the disease risk that this is putting us at is really astronomical in terms of cardiovascular health, in terms of osteoporosis, and also our brain health and leading to certain types of dementia as we age and we lose these hormones. And so in this episode, we're going to cover some specific things, but of course, hormonal health goes far beyond the scope of what we're going to discuss. But it's so complex that I like to break it into these little snippets. So today we're going to talk about how cortisol can sabotage muscle growth and increase fat storage. A lot of you have probably heard about cortisol, so we're really going to get into this. The role of growth hormone, or HGH, and testosterone in building lean muscle, which, as we know, that is the powerhouse of, and the almost like the currency of longevity in our body is that lean muscle. The fat-burning powerhouse, insulin-like growth factor, or maybe you've heard of IGF. We're going to talk about that today. The crucial link between sleep and hormone production. And finally, we're going to really dig into actionable steps that you can take naturally without even coming to see us to really elevate your growth hormone, your testosterone, and your IGF so that you can naturally maybe increase some of these things. And of course, when your natural assistance isn't enough or you want to augment that process, then you have to find a practitioner like us where we can augment some of these therapies and some of these efforts with medications, bioidentical hormones rather, that are missing from our bodies so that we can enhance the body and get you to that living stronger status. So cortisol, the muscle breakdown culprit. Cortisol is a hormone in response to stress. And who isn't stressed, right? And while it's important for certain functions, it's one of the worst things for your muscle building goals to have a high cortisol level. Cortisol breaks down muscle tissue into amino acids so that it can use it as energy. There's nothing going on in the body that isn't supposed to have a good outcome. There's a reason that cortisol breaks down when you are exposed to stress. But the problem is that this used to happen with kind of fight or flight or, the caveman days, and it had a really good purpose. But now with our modern lives, we have so much stress going on that this cortisol is breaking down our muscle into these amino acids so that we can use it for energy. So unfortunately, it also signals to your body to hold on to fat, to prevent new muscle from forming and to use its energy otherwise. Essentially, cortisol is doing the opposite of what we are wanting our bodies to do. It's blocking protein synthesis, which is the process that is needed for building new muscle. So what is the antidote here? How can we counteract the effects of cortisol and encourage muscle growth? Well, let's dive into the dynamic duo of testosterone and growth hormone. So building lean muscle is really where we sort of start to see the role of testosterone and human growth hormone. When you lift weights or you engage in resistance training, you're creating these tiny little tears in your muscle fibers. These microscopic little injuries trigger your body to start repairing and to build new muscle. This is where testosterone and growth hormone, or HGH, come in. These hormones are released during and continue to be released after your workouts, helping these satellite cells, which are specialized cells on the outside of the muscle fibers, repair and to grow your muscle. And this repair process is really key to building lean muscle and increasing your muscle size over time. So it's so interesting to think about it that way. Why is there soreness when we're working out? Because we're creating these little tears, we're releasing that lactic acid that's kind of circulating, and it's all part of building stronger. It's so interesting to think about in terms of growth personally or growth with your muscles. You're not going to get anywhere or get stronger without a little bit of discomfort. And so, talking about growth hormone in particular, this plays a massive role in fat metabolism and muscle recovery. It's going to stimulate that uptake of the amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins, to repair not only your muscles, but also bones, ligaments, tendons, nerves. And this is something that we do prescribe from a compounding pharmacy for our patients that are looking to enhance this picture. The more amino acids that are available, the more efficient your body is at repairing and rebuilding tissues. And this is why the first thing that I do when I wake up every morning before I work out is I recommend taking something like Perfect Aminos. I typically take this 20 to 30 minutes before my workout. And by having these amino acids readily available in your bloodstream in the correct ratios, your muscles can immediately begin the repair process as soon as growth hormone is released, because they're circulating at the right time. And this is typically why I take it 20 to 30 minutes before my workout. Another key time for growth hormone release is during deep sleep. So who's not sleeping well? Okay, specifically during the first 2 to 3 hours of deep sleep. I wear this Oura ring, which I can link my code in the bio for this Oura ring, because this is something that's really helped me gauge and encouraged me to go to bed earlier, because I see that my deep sleep typically will happen before 2 a.m. and in some cases even before midnight. So if you're going to sleep at midnight, you're really missing that window for really stimulating growth hormone release. Also, when I am taking a growth hormone from a compounding pharmacy, it's an injection that we will do 5 days on, 2 days off for a cycle. And you do this at night because this is when your growth hormone is being released. And so we're sort of mimicking that. And your body also gets another growth hormone surge about 15 to 18 hours after you work out, which is why recovery and rest days are just as important as the workout itself. I believe that so many of us, especially when we start to hit perimenopause or we're starting to have those shifts in our lives where we're holding on to those extra pounds, maybe we're having thyroid dysfunction, different hormone imbalances, and then we start to work out more and eat less. And that's actually releasing more cortisol and inhibiting this growth hormone surge from happening because we're not taking those days to recover. It took me so long to understand that when I work out less and more purposefully with a great tool that I've found is EMS workouts. I will also link my Catalyst suit in the show notes. I do 2 20 to 40 minute workouts twice a week. Or I'm sorry, 2 workouts a week. And so again, just this Catalyst is EMS, so it's stimulating the muscle fibers deeper than you would be able to do on your own in the gym. So 1 20-minute workout is the equivalent of 3 to 4 hours really going after it hard in the gym. And so not only is this really good for my cortisol levels in terms of not releasing cortisol as a as a response to stress and breaking down my muscle, in storing fat, this is something that's good for my joints. It's good for my bones. I've never been leaner and I've never had more muscle definition at the age of 41 than I do by backing it off and being really purposeful about my workouts. So really, really good investment. That's something that I talk about in my ebooks for perimenopausal and menopausal women, is just the Catalyst or EMS workouts in general. And the Catalyst suit just makes it so easy to do at home. But yeah, that is huge, huge, huge for growth hormone. Sleeping, taking adequate recovery, and of course, getting some extra aminos with workouts. And like I said, I love the perfect aminos, and I'll link my favorite flavor in the show notes as well. Now, let's talk about fat loss and muscle growth. So this is the power of insulin-like growth factor, or IGF. And this is another something that we can prescribe to help your body kind of mimic this. Insulin-like growth factor, or IGF, as I'll just refer to it from now on, is like growth hormone's partner in crime. Its primary role is to release stored energy between meals and help regulate cellular growth, in particular, your muscles and your nerves. So what makes IGF particularly interesting is that it's released alongside growth hormone, but only when your stomach is empty. So IGF stimulates fat burning by breaking down glycogen stores, which is sugar stored in your liver and your muscles. And when these stores are depleted, it turns to burning fat for energy. So if you can imagine, if you can think about, if it's being released when your stomach is empty, something that does upregulate IGF is intermittent fasting. IGF also plays a key role in recovering your nervous system after intense workouts. So often we think muscle soreness is the only thing holding us back from working out every day, but your nervous system, this is something that we really need to pay more attention to, guys. It also needs time to recover. There's a great book called The Body Keeps Score. And not only is that talking about traumas, but it really does need to heal. And this is why it's essential not to overtrain or not to work out the same muscle groups too frequently. Your nerves need extra time to repair after a heavy workout. Let's move on to sleep, the secret to truly maximizing hormone production. I have a patient and dear friend of mine that really struggles with sleep disruption. And it is difficult to sometimes get her hormonally and wellness optimized. As you can probably guess, sleep is critical in maximizing both growth hormone and IGF, in the combination of those two and when they're released. And the majority of these hormones are released during deep sleep. And this is when most of your muscle repair and fat burning takes place. So those who do not get as much quality sleep will find it much harder to actually build muscle, to lose fat, and to recover from both workouts and daily stress, just overall. So without enough sleep, what's happening is your body's producing more cortisol, which, as we discussed earlier in this podcast, actively is breaking down muscle and storing fat. So poor sleep also suppresses the release of growth hormone, testosterone, and IGF. So when we look at our patients that maybe have disrupted sleep from their jobs, or, new babies in the home, or whatever it may be, creating hormone imbalance really can sabotage our fitness and health goals. And a lot of times that's when some of these compounded extras come in so that we can support a patient that isn't able to get the adequate sleep that they need. So let's talk about steps to really elevate testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF naturally. We kind of talked about some of these, but I'm really just going to get clear with 5 things that you can do to naturally boost your testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF levels. And so, guys, anyone who's listening and they're like, I either can't come in, or I, am unable to afford the program, here's 5 things that you can do. So number 1, prioritize sleep. What do I mean by that? Aim for 7 to 8 hours of high quality sleep each night. Deep sleep is where most of your muscle recovery and your fat burning takes place, which, can you believe that? So it's essential. It's truly essential for optimizing your hormones to get this sleep. How do you prioritize it? Do wind downs, go to bed earlier, use meditation apps, get on your PEMF mat. Don't drink alcohol, don't eat large meals for at least 90 minutes prior to laying down. And if you can get a few hours on that end, that would be even better. So really, really important. I can't prioritize the need for sleep more. Number two, eat enough protein and amino acids. Ensuring that you're consuming enough high quality protein and amino acids, like those found in the perfect amino blends, this is really key to giving your muscle the tools that they need for repair and growth. Protein also, remember, stimulates growth hormone release, which is going to aid in that muscle recovery naturally and fat loss. The reason that I love perfect aminos is because, first of all, it doesn't break my fast in the morning, but it's giving me all the aminos in the perfect ratio to offer that protein synthesis and build those lean muscles and help me recover from my workouts. I even take these and kind of increase the amount when I'm not feeling well, if I'm traveling a lot, because we're just not getting enough high quality protein in our diets. We think we're getting all these grams of protein in these shakes and maybe meal replacement supplements, but the reality is they have to be in the right ratio. And that's why I really stand behind the perfect aminos. And it's just a quick scoop into water, mix it up, throw it back. Okay, number three, reduce cortisol. Keeping your cortisol levels in check by managing stress and avoiding inflammatory foods like processed sugars, omega-6 fatty acids. These high cortisol levels not only break down muscle, but again, remember, they raise fat storing hormones like insulin and estrogen. Number four, incorporate key nutrients. So I will almost always be putting my patients on things like vitamin D, vitamin E, omega-3 fatty acids, and magnesium, because these are essential for lowering cortisol, boosting testosterone naturally, growth hormone naturally, and IGF naturally. And they also help at reducing inflammation, which further supports muscle growth and fat loss. You guys, it's so crazy how much muscle growth and fat loss simulates sort of what we do in the skin. So we will use some sort of controlled injury device. Like let's take microneedling, for example. Microneedling is so amazing because it will just create this controlled injury. And so then what happens is our body's response is to zoom in with all of these healing factors. And then we have a controlled setting of inflammation, which is very acute and very purposeful. It kind of gets rid of the bacterial component. It triggers all these factors to come in and lay down more collagen and elastin. And that's really what's happening here. When we're working out, we're creating that controlled injury. We're supporting a healthy environment for boosting all these types of hormones. We're reducing inflammation, and that is going to result in more muscle growth and more fat loss. And number five, resistance training. This is really going to help elevate our testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF because it's boosting these things naturally. Aim for a consistent routine, but like I said, avoid overtraining the same muscle groups too frequently, as your nerves just simply need time to recover. So just some closing thoughts for you. By prioritizing your sleep, your proper nutrition, using the supplements when needed, managing your stress, you can really maximize your growth hormone, your testosterone, and your IGF levels naturally. These hormones are the cornerstone of not only building lean muscle, but also burning fat and maintaining long-term health. Thank you, as always, for tuning into the Curated Beauty podcast. I hope that today's episode has given you some valuable insights in optimizing your hormones for maximum results. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with anyone that you think could benefit from these tips. And until next time, stay balanced and keep building.